All right, what's going on, everybody? GB Card Stacks here. Only 3 cards. This was over $500 of sales. The NBA draft was last night. Let's just run right through it. This should be pretty quick. First card got an offer. Ben Yurosek, orange shimmer, number to 25, 14 to 25. Now at Georgia. Not technically at Georgia. He had to, maybe he is now, but he had to graduate from Stanford first. So he didn't go to spring and he wasn't involved in anything with the team, but he will be there in the summer. I don't know when they start, but nonetheless, now going to be at Georgia, filling in Brock Bowers' shoes. Who knows how it goes? They're very high, or just people in general are very high on Oscar Delp. I am not particularly fond of him. I just felt like when Bowers was out, he never took that next step. It was like Ladd McConkey who came in and kind of filled in and boosted his draft stock. I don't know. You run 2 tight end sets with them. I don't know, but Yurosek has been one of the better tight ends in the country. He has been hurt. He got hurt versus Colorado last year, I think. Shoulder injury, I think that's kind of been bugging him for over the last few years. But super productive when he is on the field. Grades out pretty well with Pro Football Focus. In that draft conversation for top 5, 6 tight ends, I would say, probably 10. I think there's been a lot of strong tight ends coming up over the last few years that have kind of transferred and moved about. So I bought a lot of Ben Yurosek when I noticed him last year. At the time of release, back in 2023, that would have been 2022, Yurosek was probably one of the worst hits that I felt you could have got. I was like, man, that is, a tough pull. But he had a good 2022. He had a pretty strong 2023. He slowly kind of went from, I think, like a $2 base auto, probably under $1 on ComC, to, probably a $8 to $10-ish auto. I bought a ton. I bought gold, PSA 10. I think that sold on ComC. I think I had 2 copies. I had one in ComC, one here. I've got a ton of Ben Yurosek. I've slowly been starting to piece it out. If he blows up, I'd probably miss even more opportunity, but I'm fine getting out now. Nonetheless, this was $70 listed. I got an offer for $35. It was their first offer. It said 4 offers left. I wouldn't sell it at $35. I declined it immediately. I typically don't counter offer, and that's just because I feel like someone really wants the card, they're going to make another offer. And also when they send an offer, they get auto charged. If I counter offer and they accept it, they still have to go through and pay. So it's just kind of one less barrier to getting paid, I guess. I have to rely on them, and if they want the card, they'll send the offer and they'll auto pay. If I counter and they accept it, they still have to go in through PayPal and do all that. So 2 reasons for that. So they went from 35, I think, to like 42. And I was like, okay, that was within like a minute. So I knew 35 was, a hopeful lowball offer. 42 was like, all right, that's a stronger offer. Like, I do like Ben Yurosek. I'm going to hold it. Declined again, and they went up to 48. I was going to accept it regardless, just because I'm like, all right, I think that 3rd offer is probably your strongest final attempt. Your first offer, again, just meh. 2nd offer, I'm like, okay, maybe I'd go up to here. Then if you send a 3rd offer, that's, I think, your strongest offer. They did leave a note, this is my best. I, felt fine letting go at 48 compared to 42 after fees and everything. Am I probably haggling over like $4 or $5? Probably, but just something that I could hold. So that one sold for $52-ish shipped. Was happy about it. I don't know how much I have of Yurosek, but we'll see. Next one, Alexandre Sarr. So draft was last night. You'll probably see this in like a week from now afterwards. And I was heavy on Alexandre Sarr. Been buying him since February. Fell to number 2-ish throughout all the mocks once the draft lottery happened and Atlanta had the number 1 pick. Nonetheless, I was still buying him. I felt like you could get some of his cards at auctions at a pretty low price and then, relist it. I'm big on that. When you can get an auction for, let's say, this example, $60, relist it for like the 100 to 120 plus. I'm a big fan of that. Just kind of buying into the scarcity, buying into, a hopeful spike in demand. So I got this at auctions for, I think, $60 all in. I think there was some hesitation. The seller did not have good feedback at all. It was like a 96%, a couple hundred, positive reviews, but then like 4 or 5 negative reviews. I'm like, hey, I'm protected by eBay. If, it's worth the headache on the buyer side, I think. to, wait a month. I don't need these funds immediately, so I'll wait a month if it takes, however long to get my money back. So bought it for 60. And then when this came in, I had just recently sold a copy for 180. I was kind of the outlier. I looked at the prices when I went to go price this one, and there were some listed for like 120, 150. So I don't know. I'll have to check if it was a promoted listing. I don't know. Maybe mine looked a little bit better centering wise. But listed this for 150 the day of the draft, and it sold outright. So that was great. From 60 to after fees, I don't know, 130 or so. So doubling my money there. One thing that I have noticed, so this is his second year Topps Chrome OTE card, and he's got a couple different images, but his first year, I think, what is this then? 2022, so his 2022 card, not as great of images. His auto is like way off to the side on these, but that is technically his rookie card. It's got a rookie card logo on it. But this image is definitely his best out of these 6 autos or so that you line up. So I do think this was probably the card to buy. One thing I am a little bummed about, when I reviewed it real quick, it did look pretty clean. I think it could have gotten like an SGC 9.5 or 10. Would I have sent it to PSA, waited all that time? You'd still get it before the season, I guess, but I would like to try to, take advantage of the draft hype while I have it. I've got many Alexandre Sarr autos on ComC. I graded 2 with SGC. I just felt good if he becomes, this huge, Talon Horton-Tucker sensation during the summer league or whatever. I've got plenty to sell through, so felt fine. Outright buy 150, I'll take it. So that was a nice flip there. I'm curious how much I bought this Yurosek for. Orange Shimmer. I did buy some of them locally at a show, if I remember correctly, but curious on that one. And then this one, the big one, Zaccharie Risacher, so projected number 1 once the Hawks got the number 1 pick. I guess Alexandre Sarr just did not want to go to Atlanta. He was very much thinking that the Wizards are the best fit for him, so he rejected, I guess, all these invites. So I was buying Zaccharie Risacher over the last month or so, and I was just looking, and thank goodness that I've been in the mood to buy PSA graded cards. I mentioned it, and I think one of my previous videos, I just was always a guy who I'd rather buy 3 copies of this card raw and then go from there. Maybe, be hopeful to grade, I guess, but sometimes the 10, it just makes sense. The card plus the grading fee plus the grade, save some time there. So I bought this for $80. I thought it was pretty low in terms of price. His autos were kind of doing all over the place. Like a green auto would do 120, and then you'd also see, it'd do 80. So kind of all over the place, like I said, but thought 80 was a pretty good price. It's hard to lose money with a 10. He was projected number 1. It just made sense. I listed it for $350. I first listed it for $250 for a couple minutes. I posted it on the day of the draft. I didn't have a lot listed, and I really needed to grind out some listings. So I was kind of rushing through, listed it for $250, went back to check other PSA cards. And there was like a 9 refractor auto at $220, but all over the place. It was really weird. Set it for $350, got an offer overnight for $300 and decided to take it. So from, probably after taxes and everything, $92-ish to after fees, $260-ish. Not bad. So total of $500 in sales, barely, I guess if you include the shipping there. Not bad. Not bad for just 3 cards. My eBay sales, my volume isn't there. I don't have a ton of listings. And, like I said, we're just kind of in this weird period, I feel like, with cards. I feel like it's a great time to be buying. That's just me. Kind of slow on the sales, but pretty solid. There's my thumbnail right there. Pretty solid trio there. I'm going to get these out. Nice little run of sales. So that's everything. Took a little bit longer than I wanted, but if you enjoyed it, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.